So, if I handed you a video cable that cost $825, you would probably expect it to be made of, I don't know, like solid gold or something.
Yeah, or at least look like some crazy sci-fi tech.
Right. But the one we are looking at for today's deep dive, well, it just looks like standard black rubber.
It really does. But hidden inside are actual optical lasers capable of firing massive amounts of data across the length of a football field, and get this, without a power cord.
Which is just like wild to think about.
It is. We are looking at a spec sheet from HDTV Supply for this highly specialized piece of equipment. It is the DVIGear DVI-2875-AOC DisplayPort 1.4 Active Optical Cable.
And the numbers on this thing are honestly staggering. We are talking about a 75-meter run, so roughly 246 feet.
Yeah.
And it supports up to 8K resolution video at 30 hertz, or, 4K at a blistering 120 hertz.
Which is a massive amount of data. I mean, trying to push 32.4 gigabits per second of electrical signal over 246 feet of copper is, well, essentially a physics nightmare.
Exactly. It is like trying to shout a complex message across a crowded, noisy football stadium.
Yeah, that is a great way to put it.
Because the signal just degrades.
Yeah.
It gets distorted by interference and pretty much turns to static by the time it reaches the other side.
Right, but using light is totally different. It is like flashing a targeted laser pointer across that same stadium. It stays perfectly clear and is completely immune to the noise.
So because pushing that much electrical signal over that distance simply fails, they basically had to stop using electricity for the heavy video payload entirely.
Exactly. And that is the core of its hyperlight hybrid design. I mean, what is fascinating here is how it physically combines 4 glass optical fibers to carry the heavy video data via lasers.
Wow.
Yeah, and it runs those right alongside 6 traditional copper wires inside the exact same jacket.
Which is just a brilliant division of labor, honestly, because keeping the copper makes perfect sense. You do not need lasers to handle like simple low bandwidth communications like ED and HDCP 2.2, right?
Exactly. You just need those basic compliance handshakes to clear. But here is where the engineering gets incredibly complex.
Oh, how so?
Well, maintaining strict HDCP sync timings between a source and a display is already, notoriously finicky.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So when you split the signal, sending the video at the speed of light through glass while the timing handshakes travel through copper, keeping those perfectly synchronized over 246 feet without dropping the connection is a massive technical hurdle.
I can only imagine. But wait, firing active lasers to carry that optical payload usually requires some serious external power, right?
Usually, yes.
Because you normally see fiber optic setups requiring these bulky external power breaks that have to be plugged into wall outlets, yet this thing just plugs straight into the port.
And that right there is the real engineering marvel of this spec sheet. The integrated optical transmitters are designed with this ultra-low power profile, drawing less than 0.43 watts.
Less than half a watt. That is incredible.
Right. It pulls that tiny trickle of electricity directly from the 3.3-volt pin inside the DisplayPort source itself. So there is absolutely no wall adapter required.
Wow.
What used to require an entire server rack of dedicated transceivers and power supplies has been miniaturized and embedded directly into the plug of the cord.
That is insane. I mean, you have probably dealt with a flickering monitor just because a cheap HDMI cable got bent behind your desk, right?
Oh, all the time.
So imagine trying to guarantee zero flicker across a 250-foot run routed through the walls of a corporate skyscraper. That is the specific problem this cable solves.
Exactly. This is built for intense professional environments. Because the main data rides on light, it has a practically zero RFI and EMI profile.
Meaning it is totally immune to electromagnetic interference from surrounding heavy machinery or server racks.
Spot on. It is also plenum rated, which means the jacket meets strict fire safety standards for installation in the air handling spaces above drop ceilings.
Oh, and I noticed they also built it with clever, detachable mini DisplayPort connectors.
Yes, that is a huge feature.
You can just snake the tiny cable ends through incredibly tight conduits and then physically lock the full-size connectors back on with a pin once you are completely through the wall.
It is entirely modular, which honestly saves installers from having to rip open drywall just to feed a bulky connector head through a narrow pipe.
Seriously. So at $825, though I should mention HDTV Supply does explicitly note a 10% off discount code on there.
Hey, every little bit helps, right?
Exactly. But at that price point, this is not just an expensive accessory, it really is active networking infrastructure, handling up to 32 channels of uncompressed audio alongside massive 8K video data.
It really forces us to completely rethink what a cable actually is. At this point, it is essentially a microscopic media converter.
It really is. And it leaves you wondering something pretty massive. If a simple display connection now requires integrated optical transmitters just to handle our daily visual data, how long until traditional copper wiring becomes completely obsolete in our homes and offices?